45-year-old Margaret Mowalola Akinduntire has accused the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LASUTH, of medical negligence and abandonment after the woman died without receiving a critical surgery despite previous complications from an alleged botched procedure that left a surgical needle inside her body. The deceased son narrated a decade-long ordeal with LASUTH, beginning with a 2013 kidney operation during which a needle was reportedly forgotten in her body. He claimed his mother underwent emergency reopening of the surgical site without anesthesia to remove the needle, an incident the family considered filing a case for but later dropped. In 2024, Akinduntire was diagnosed with fibroid and returned to LASUTH for treatment. While the fibroid was removed, an alleged error in stitching led to severe abdominal complications. Her son said doctors confirmed it wasn't cancerous but postponed further surgery until after Ramadan, citing the fasting period as a reason for delay. When her condition worsened, the hospital reportedly refused treatment, claiming they had misplaced her file. Desperate, the family moved her to a private facility in Agege where she was stabilized. Viral social media posts eventually prompted the intervention of Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, after which LASUTH allegedly found the missing file. Despite the belated response, Akinduntire died at LASUTH Surgical Emergency Unit without receiving the needed operation. Hospital management has denied the family's claims. Chief Medical Director Professor Adetokunbo Fambanwo described the allegations as baseless, with Adekoya insisting the patient's son was carried along at every stage and that surgeries did take place during Ramadan. For starters, rest in peace to the dead women. But let's talk about this constant negligence and the story surrounding surgeries and forgetting of needles and scissors in people's bodies. After surgeries. What are your thoughts on this report?
It's pathetic that this thing is happening again. This is not the first time I would be hearing this. To be sure, I have met persons who had this experience, not a hearsay. I mean, I knew somebody who, an in-law to be sure, had a surgery in a government-owned facility, intestinal obstruction, something. A small scissors was left in the stomach, and after stitching an otherwise successful operation, the guy didn't get better, was still feeling pain here and there, and of course, there were checks and all those things, an X-ray was done to discover that something was left. But in that case, I think the hospital acting, the case I'm talking about, the hospital acted reasonably. Even though money was paid, the whole sum that would have been paid for operation was not paid. They bore part of the cost, and there was a form of negotiation and apology and all that. I remember vividly, even personally speaking with one of the head in that place. He gave some reasons which are basically societal issue why such things happen.
What did he say could be?
Human error and all those. I know, like they say in certain fields, especially fields like HSC, that the work is not done until the tools are properly returned to where you get them. That is, if I'm cleaning this place, I'm cleaning here with the broom, sparkers, and what have you. At the end of the day, the work of cleaning this place is not done until every item I use in cleaning is properly returned to where they should be. So, to avoid this type of thing, like find is that, as you're going into the theater, there is a checklist of items you need and items you brought in. After the surgery, even before the stitching, there should have been a checklist of what and what we came in with here to see that everything is complete. Maybe, these things are negligence. If there has been a checklist, we came in here with so items, and now we are through, even before stitching, this item is missing. That is not a consumable, that is okay, we have used up this, and as you and the thing is that, from what I learned, these surgeries, when you go to theater, it's not just one person that is there. It's a team.
Right.
It's a team, especially in a government-owned facility like LASUTH. You hardly ever find one person, just the surgeon in there. You have the nurses and other doctors, at times even student doctors, So it's easier to do a checklist, run through a checklist, and ensure that everything you came in with is properly noted. That's, of course, if you notice that something is missing, that would have raised the question, why is this thing not here? Then probably lead to a check. But of course, human for what we are, there would always be negligence here and there. And at times too, these persons are overburdened. You see cases where doctors would have complained that, they have been overworked, especially with the recent issues of brain drain and JAPA and another. Those things contribute. Now, this is not making an excuse for this doctor, but these are contributory factors that could lead to such incidents happening. However, such haven't happened. They should have seen it as a priority to remedy the situation, with or without money, because that second surgery wouldn't have been necessary if due check was done. So having seen that the error is largely on their part, they would have been more concerned about remedying the situation. Then I found it funny to hear that somebody would say because of Ramadan there won't be surgery.
Before we head towards because of Ramadan, which is still another core part of this discourse, I want to gather your sense of regard. The family did say they wanted to take up the case in court and all of that. Do you think that if people, actually there was a penalty for such actions, do you think that we'll hear of, needles and pains and, scissors being forgotten in people's stomach? Do you think we'll hear about it less often if someone decides that, okay, if more people come out to say they want to make a litigation as regards this happened to a family member and we are not going to have it?
You see, one of the challenges we have in Nigeria with public accountability and negligence is this issue of everybody trying to sweep everything under the carpet, both the victim and the offender, as it were. We always have this wrong notion of forgiveness. You see, at times forgiving does not necessarily mean you won't seek for the wrong to be right. In fact, the best way to even forgive is that, okay, let's ensure that this thing does not happen again. Now, if you go through litigation, or maybe not litigation, but at least, is there an ombudsman or something where people can report such a negligence? So during the Obasanjo era, there was the introduction of, I'm trying to remember this agency where people could make reports of poor services. So if such things are sustained, it may not completely eliminate negligence, but it could serve as a deterrent and people would sit up. If somebody realized that if a negligence that leads to a fatality or a serious harm could lead to suspension, stagnation in career growth, or even outright withdrawal of practicing license, people would become much more careful how they act. But unfortunately, when things like this happen, for whatever reason, when you talk of litigation, it could also be for financial reasons that they withdrew. That is why, if we must get things right, it must not just be litigation. There should be cases of, like I mentioned, an ombudsman. I'm trying to remember this agency during the Obasanjo era that was established where people could make report. Yes, you could report poor services. If I walk into a government agency or something and poor services are rendered, I could report. But normally there is an ombudsman, and the body I'm talking about is like is a kind of ombudsman anyway, where you report issues, and these things help to forestall things from happening again. Would it completely eliminate it? Maybe no, but the frequency of hearing this, and even when it happens, those involved, knowing that there is a penalty for them, would be quick to act to remedy such situation. So, how on earth can you tell somebody that a file is missing for an ongoing case? It's not even, you go to offices, you see files that look like decades ago. Why would it be missing? And by the way, in today's world, apart from having the hard copy files, shouldn't there be soft copy files that if you are finding it difficult to locate the hard copy file with a punch of button?
Why are we still running these things manually?
Do you understand it?
Why do you think these things are being run manually? I for one.
It's symptomatic of everything wrong in Nigeria. That is actually what it is. Because this government-owned hospitals, even the private should have been digitized. Now that even old cases should have been entered into the system.
Right.
The new ones as they come, even if you're going to use hard copy files, as you use them, it's also entered into the system. So in this case, if you're checking for that copy, you can't see it. All you need to do is, with a press of button, you type in the person's name there, maybe the case file, however you want to do it, the case file pops up and all that. To not have an alternative to that hard copy file in 2025, it's something of an aberration.
Let's talk about Ramadan and surgery during Ramadan. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that should be correct, like even the doctor said. I don't know if he's just putting up a face or something, but you cannot say you don't have surgeries during Ramadan. Ramadan is a 40-day or 30-day period. You can't tell me that within that period, some of these things are emergency cases. Yeah, you cannot say you are putting off an emergency case because of a religious obligation. Even if the persons who should receive that treatment were even participants of that religion, and whatever religion is it, not just for Ramadan and any other case, would you put it off? Because this is life at stake. So I don't want to believe that should be true. If it is, the system should investigate it. If it is true, then it should be dealt with. Such shouldn't be mentioned again. It shouldn't be heard again that somebody was denied of emergency treatment or medical treatment because of a religious obligation, right, or any other thing, whatever it is. The only reason somebody shouldn't receive a treatment in a hospital is because the situation does not warrant it, not for any other reason outside of medical issues.
Thank you so much.